Or the fool who follows him.
Yo, what's up? At the Geeky Coach here with another review of The Mandalorian. This one on season 3, episode 3, The Convert. So, first, want to start off with just kind of overall thoughts on the episode. This was, I think, the longest episode in series history, which was awesome. This is the first time that we got nearly a full hour of The Mandalorian, and I think what they did with it was really smart in terms of the way they kind of segmented off the episode and gave us a lot of insight into life after the Empire and what was it like for folks from the Empire assimilating into the New Republic, as well as the story that we care about more, which is obviously the Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and their trip to the mines of Mandalore, and getting a lot more in terms of understanding kind of where Bo's at. And so the episode opens up with them kind of recovering from their episode into the waters, and Bo-Katan asking Din Djarin, "Hey, did you see anything down there?" To which Din responds, "No, I just kind of fell into a chasm and wasn't expecting it to be that deep." And you can tell Bo-Katan feels like she's either hallucinating or that she saw the sign of the mythosaur while they were while she was going to rescue Din. And so I think in that instant, Bo-Katan is seeking redemption and thinks that she may actually be worthy of it for having seen the mythosaur. And Din Djarin ends up, collecting some of the waters to basically take it back to the covert to be able to kind of prove that he has bathed and been rebaptized in the waters of Mandalore. And that's a really exciting proposition because of what happens later in the episode when they reconnect with the covert, and Taz Vizsla's descendant is there and challenges them upon landing, calls them both apostates, calls them both unworthy, and kind of takes them into the covert to talk to the armorer. And the armorer takes the sample that Din Djarin had collected from the waters of the mines of Mandalore, pours them in, her altar, her offering bucket, whatever it is, and confirms that, yes, these really are waters from the mines of Mandalore, from underneath the mines of Mandalore. And so she turns to Din and says, by creed, you are welcome back into the Children of the Watch, into their covert. And you can tell Din's excited, or you can tell Din just kind of nods to it, says, yeah, I did it. And then the armorer turns to Bo-Katan and says the same thing to her. She's like, did you bathe in the waters as well? Bo says yes. She says, have you removed your helmet since then? Bo says no. And she says, then you are also welcome to our covert. And I think what that really is the moment of Bo-Katan's redemption. At that moment, do I necessarily think that she is, full-blown, going to follow the creed, follow the old ways, all of that? No, but I think she does see it as an opportunity for her to be redeemed. And I think she carries a lot of guilt that she actually believes that in accepting the Darksaber the way she did and attempting to lead in the way that she did, that she really did curse Mandalore. But I think that seeing and being accepted by, the old ways, folks or people that follow the old ways in terms of this Mandalorian covert, I think that she is redeemed at this moment. And what's interesting is that the Mandalorians there, they kind of like say, all right, welcome back, Din. But they're excited that Bo-Katan Kryze has joined their covert. And I think what it does is it sets her up, and it sets up the arc that I think that they've been kind of foreshadowing of her to reclaim the Darksaber. And I'm still not sure how that's going to happen yet. There was no Darksaber mentioned in this episode. But I think it's going to give her the opportunity to somehow rightfully win kind of the crown of Mandalore and the Darksaber. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to find out that, Din Djarin is going to lose the Darksaber to one of these Imperial remnants that they ran into, and I need to circle back to that. And Bo-Katan's going to be the one to retrieve it and win it back. And I think that that's where this season is heading. Early in the episode, and actually it may happen twice, but definitely early in the episode, when they're traveling back from the Mines of Mandalore to Bo-Katan's castle to basically pick up the Naboo starfighter, they're intercepted by TIE interceptors, which was cool that they used TIE interceptors, not TIE fighters. And they kind of have a nice, cool chase scene with them. Like, you had to get your Star Wars trench run in with Bo-Katan flying the trenches of the planet. And then, as they come out of the trench, they see explosions off in the distance, and we see TIE bombers leaving Bo-Katan's castle, having just destroyed Bo-Katan's castle. Which is really why they go to make their escape. Actually, first, Bo-Katan tries to chase down the bombers, and she gets one of them, and then Din is like, yo, we gotta go, because there's a a squadron of something like 20 to 30 TIE interceptors coming in at them. And what's funny is, for anybody that's been a fan of like the TIE Fighter video games or the Battle Squadron video games, those ones, like he makes reference to the fact that, damn, TIE interceptors are harder to shoot down than TIE fighters, which I just found funny because I've always been a bigger fan of the interceptor over the bomber or the TIE fighter. The only one that's cooler is the one from Rebels, the TIE Defender, which anybody who played the old TIE Fighter game knows is the most badass ship to fly in terms of fighters. So that really covers off on the Mandalorian aspect of this episode 3 of season 3. The other half of the episode, which takes place between, Bo-Katan's castle being destroyed and them and Bo-Katan and Din finding the Mandalorian covert and kind of being brought back into the fold, is an episode that really tracks how the New Republic is handling the assimilation of old Imperial officers. And it's really cool because I think it's one of the first times, we see it a bit in Andor. We saw it a little bit in kind of the prequels and those kind of things, but it's really the first time that we've ever spent significant time in Coruscant, and it wasn't directly related to the Jedi. And so that was a really cool, interesting take on, like, here's the day in the life of someone that used to work for the Empire, has gone through, whether you want to call it assimilation, rehabilitation, etc., and is now working for the New Republic. It's the first time that we've ever seen something like that. And the way that they treated Coruscant in that episode, or in this episode, was like, it's just a normal city in the galactic core. And you see the traffic, you see the skyscrapers, you see the lights. And we're reintroduced to Dr. Pershing, who was the scientist from Kamino, although not a Kaminin, that was working with Moff Gideon and who had helped the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan and her crew kind of board Moff Gideon's ship and all of that. And it's really about his assimilation back. And what we start to see is that he really thought he was doing good and he wanted to do good. But he also thinks that he's above kind of I'm not going to call it the law, but above the bureaucracy of the New Republic. And he wants to continue his cloning experiments so that he can do good. And I truly believe that he thinks he's doing good. And so we're kind of reintroduced to him. He gives a speech at the beginning saying that he's appreciative of the fact that he's being brought into the New Republic, that he's, sorry for the wrongs he's done, etc. And the woman, I think it's like G28 or G38, there's another woman who is from Moff Gideon's ship that recognizes him and knows who he is and knows what he did. And honestly, she's a little sketch the whole time. But they're reintroduced when he goes to basically the living quarters for assimilated Imperial officers, and they're having discussion. They're talking about, what do you miss from the Empire? Nothing really. Like, maybe there's a little thing here. I think they talk about, like, these breakfast biscuits and those kind of things. And the other officer from Gideon's ship uses that conversation to really bait Dr. Pershing. And so she brings him, the Imperial biscuits. She takes him for, a night on the town at basically a carnival and really kind of grooms him to do what she's going to ask him to do, which is, hey, let's go to this Imperial starship. Let's steal back some of your lab equipment and let's just work on your cloning research on the side. And so, again, we get another glimpse of Coruscant that isn't, the standard Star Wars, Jedi and Senate and all of that. It's really, again, kind of the Coruscant day in the life of. Like, they take what's in essence, a train from kind of downtown Coruscant to these, basically a depot or a refuse depot where they're destroying and taking apart old Imperial ships. And there's a cool little sequence on the train where, she convinces him that, hey, it's all going to be all right. And then droids start checking tickets and they bail from the ship. Earlier in the episode, she convinces him to, touch this rock that is clearly not meant to be touched. And so she's learned that she can push him. And I think that, again, he is coming from a place of wanting to do good and continue his research and all of that. And so they go on the Star Destroyer, they find their stuff, they find the lab equipment that he needs, and then the New Republic shows up. And we find out that the other officer turned on him and actually kind of set this whole thing up for him to be arrested. And I'm not sure where they're going with that because I don't trust the other officer. I think she is still working for Moff Gideon, but she's better at playing the game. And so she is carrying out either his orders or she has a vendetta against this Dr. Pershing. And we'll see how that plays out. I'm curious to see where they go with that. But after they're caught, they basically take Dr. Pershing to what they call, I think it's another rehabilitation clinic, and they use electrotherapy on him. And they say that it's, just to stimulate his mind and not to erase memories or anything like that. And there's a Mon Calamarian doctor that is, saying, oh, I've been through the treatment, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. And he undergoes the treatment as that kind of portion of the episode ends. So I think that that's going to start to set up, maybe her ability to manipulate him even further. Or we're going to find out that, they have some history that we're not aware of yet. So overall, the best parts of the episode, if I'm going to wrap it up, are the fact that Bo-Katan was redeemed. And the way she was welcomed back into the covert, the coven, whatever you want to call it. And it's clear that she is now in this. Although she may not have vocalized that support, I think we're seeing a transformation in Bo-Katan from going and being this somewhat of a cavalier, loose cannon to becoming the leader that she was meant to be. And I'm really excited to see kind of where that goes from here. I'm really excited to kind of see the continuation of her character arc. And honestly, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite seasons of The Mandalorian to date. The first season did what it needed to do in terms of setting things up, but the story was, it was a little drawn out and it was a little predictable. The second one, followed the arc that it needed to do, but it was also very adventure of the week until you get into kind of the last 2 episode or 3 episode stretch. And this season has felt meaningful and built upon. And it's really kind of following the framework that I feel, Dave Filoni in particular has with a lot of the creative content or a lot of the Star Wars content that he's been involved in. The first few seasons of the Clone Wars felt jumbled, and then they have stronger arcs as that show went on. Similarly, Rebels, Not a huge fan of the first, 2 or 3 seasons of that show, but seasons 4, 5, and 6 were phenomenal. And the Mandalorian seems to be following that same track. So excited to see what they do. Really, really enjoying what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have put together here. And I think that's about it for this week. So if you got any other questions, comments, things that you want to talk about in terms of Star Wars, I am a huge Star Wars nerd. I've got the Prime Jedi tattooed. I've got lightsabers, all that fun kind of stuff. So if you want to just shoot the shit and talk Star Wars, find me on social media at the Geeky Coach, TikTok, Twitter, Insta, whatever it is, or just drop a comment. And do us a favor, like, share, subscribe if you want to see more. And with that, peace out, fools.